welcome to episode 33 of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband Tom and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Pepper. This is my podcast where I chat all about my knitting and everything on my needles. I also love to feature amazing makers, whether they be yarn dyers, project bag makers, progress keeper makers. I always love giving special shout outs to anyone adding to the beauty of our fiber community. If you are a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoy yourself. Thank you for finding me and spending a little bit of time with me. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. If you would like to follow me, I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I always love seeing what everyone is working on and posting in their feed and stories. All of the patterns and yarn and accessories I talk about will be listed and linked in the description box below. Today is Monday, August 2nd, 2021, and I have a lot to share with you, so let's get started. Today I am wearing my Toasty Twisty Loop. This is a completely reversible twisted stitch that kind of looks like a cable pattern by Yvonne Mendelsohn. I think the pattern is originally written to make a scarf, but I decided to use up a little bit of this baby sport yarn that I got from my granny's stash in order to make just a nice little loop. So I knit the pattern as long as my yarn would let me, and then I whip stitched it together. With this one, I also added a little twist to kind of give it the Mobius effect before I seamed it together with the whip stitch. Very pretty, classic twisted stitch. As you can see, completely reversible on either side, which I love patterns like that. Of course, you would be able to increase your stitch count and make it wider. You could make it a really long scarf. You can do all kinds of things with really fun stitch patterns like this. Check out the Toasty Twisty by Yvonne Mendelsohn. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you about what I am calling my birthday book haul. My birthday was last month on the 18th, and all I asked for, all I wanted, were a few select knitting books. Most of these I'm sure you have heard about, but I thought I would show them and just let you know about them in case you haven't heard about them. Some of these I am hoping to get some good inspiration for some designs. I would really love to try my hand at coming up with either a cowl or sock design using some of these books as a reference. Now, I haven't really gone through all of these books cover to cover, so I'm hoping to maybe do a more in-depth walkthrough as a separate scrap video. So for now, I'm just going to kind of show you what the books are and maybe tell you the little bit I do know about them. First, I think, is a very popular title. It is called Getting Started Knitting Socks by Anne Budd. And I chose this one because it has a sport weight pattern, and I have one sport weight sock that I am working on I'll tell you about in a little bit, but I kind of wanted some more inspiration for other patterns I could use to knit some of my sport weight yarn into socks. This has a whole bunch of patterns and just some really good guidance as far as different elements of socks. I'm really looking forward to digging into this one. Next is another super famous sock book. It is Sock Architecture by Lara, Neel. And this is another one that has a couple different patterns, but also just guidance as far as the specific parts about socks, different toes and heels you can try. I'm really looking forward to looking through this one and maybe trying one of the actual patterns. The patterns in this one are really pretty as well. Just another good solid book to increase my knowledge and foundational skills for sock knitting. Those are the books specific to socks I was hoping for, and if you don't know yet, socks are my very favorite thing to knit. I like knitting lots of things, but socks are definitely my favorite. Then I wanted to get some books that will help me hopefully on a path toward designing. And they are all from Vogue Knitting. This first one is The Ultimate Quick Reference. This is a smaller book. This you would be able to put in a larger project bag if you needed to. And it even has a little ruler and needle gauge on the back cover. I'm excited to see what they have in this book. And then they also have the Vogue Knitting The Ultimate Stitch Dictionary. I don't own any stitch dictionaries, and I was really looking forward to seeing what kinds of things they have in this. All I know so far is they have different chapters for like lace, knits and pearls, cable stitches. So I really can't wait to see what all these different stitches look like and how I might be able to incorporate them in some design down the road. And the last book I was lucky enough to get for my birthday is Vogue Knitting the Ultimate Knitting Book. This will be another just really good staple book in my collection for referencing different types of things. It's probably a good one in case I forget a certain skill or haven't done something in a while and need to refresh my memory. I'm really thrilled to have this in my knitting library as well. So like I said, I'm hoping to dig a little deeper in each of those books and maybe give you a review or at least a more detailed walkthrough in case those are some reference materials you might be interested in as well. Now on to my finished objects. My first finished object is my July Desert Vista Dye Works pair of socks. I am doing her monthly knit along, the 7th annual monthly sock club. And the yarn I used is her Summer Sock Camp 2020 colorway. The pattern I did is the Heel Toe Dosey Do Socks by Kay Litton, the crazy sock lady, who is also the director of Summer Sock Camp, which is still going on until the end of August. Here's a little bit of a better look of what the pattern looks like. Kind of a zigzaggy shape across the front, and then it is just plain knitting across the back. I did change the pattern up a little bit as written. This is the second time I've knit this, and so I thought I'd do it a little bit differently the second time. I knit it toe up, and then I also incorporated an afterthought heel. As you can see, I kind of split this yellow stripe and then added my afterthought heel after I finished knitting the leg and cuff. I did do the 1x1 twisted rib cuff that the pattern calls for, and I really love this pattern with these bright colors. I did the medium size 64 stitch count, and I think I was able to get the stripes to match up pretty well. I like to try to do that with self-striping yarn. This is the Heel Toe Dosey Do Socks by Kay Litton, knit up in Desert Vista Dye Works Summer Sock Camp 2020 colorway. My next finished object is my latest pair from Mina Phillip, the Knitting Expat, and her Around the World in 8 Socks collection. These are the Hong Kong socks. The yarn I used for this is Lolo Did It from her Downton Abbey Upstairs and Downstairs Club. The main color is called the Lotus Jazz Room, and the contrasting color is called Wild About Harry. I did these cuff down with the ribbing that she recommends for the cuff. And then there's kind of another eyelet-y, zigzaggy pattern across the front of the leg. I did just plain stockinette across the back. And then I did a garter stitch German short row heel and the rounded wedge toe that she calls for in the pattern. This was really fun to knit, another incredible pattern from her newest collection. Her next pattern is inspired by the city of Tokyo, and I cannot wait to see what that is going to look like. These are the Hong Kong socks by Mina Phillip, knit up in Lolo Did It, Wild About Harry, and the Lotus Jazz Room. Next, I'd like to tell you about a half-finished object. This is the sock I did for Knitty Natty's Sock Week 2021. The yarn is from the Lemonade Shop, and I have never used any yarn from the Lemonade Shop, and it's absolutely beautiful. It is her 80/20 base, and the colorway is called Toxic Oreo. Look at all those amazing colors in the speckles. I especially love black with the neon. And even though this is just a vanilla sock, my goal with this was to kind of figure out a good recipe for myself for shorty socks. I do not have any shorty socks in my sock drawer. What I did on these is I cast them on toe up using 16 stitches on each needle with Judy's Magic Cast On. I increased to 64 stitches. I did 50 rounds of stockinette for the foot. Then I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel. And then for the leg, I only did 15 rounds of stockinette and then 15 rounds of 2x2 rib, and I'm really loving it. I think it works absolutely perfectly for my feet as far as where I would like a shorty sock to hit. So I'm going to probably use this recipe again in the future for more shorty socks. I do have my second sock almost complete in my Grease project bag from Fate's Thread. I just finished the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. So I need to do my 15 rounds up the leg and 15 rounds of 2x2 rib for the cuff, and this will be done. I am using a little Rocket Pop Progress Keeper from Clay Cannon on Etsy. And these are my Knitter's Pride Dreams size 2, 2.75 millimeter, 32-inch circulars for magic loop. And here's what this really awesome yarn looks like in the cake. I got this yarn a couple years ago when I was on a trip to New York City at Knitty City. I am halfway done with the pair of vanilla shorty socks knit toe up in Toxic Oreo by the Lemonade Shop. Finally, I have two mini finished objects. These are my little baby socks that I've been knitting for my cousin's baby to use as an advent calendar this Christmas for his first Christmas. This is the mini sock pattern by Sue Stokes of Legacy Fiber Arts. And I am using scraps from the Legacy Fiber Arts 2020 Advent, what I have left over from my original project I was using that yarn in. This is a basic vanilla pattern with a little slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and I used a crochet chain for a little loop. I chained 30 stitches and then just kind of attached it a little ways down the inside of the cuff. So hopefully they will work nicely to either hang on their tree or put on a garland, whatever they would like to do with them. This is the 5th and 6th sock I have done, so I do want to finish one using all 25 colors from this Advent set, so he will have 25 little mini socks for the holiday season. This is the mini sock pattern by Sue Stokes, knit up in Legacy Fiber Arts 2020 Advent. Now on to my works in progress. The first I'd like to tell you about is my August pair of socks for the Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock club. This is the colorway Happy Girlfriend's Day. Here's what it looks like in the cake. It is a 4-stripe repeat, and I have just finished that 4th black stripe. There's kind of a darker purple and a lighter purple with this aqua. I am doing these 2 at a time, toe up, on a 40-inch ChiaoGoo red lace needle. And I think I will do these just vanilla with an afterthought heel. That's my favorite heel to use with the Desert Vista Dye Works self-striping yarn. So as you can see, I finished the toes and just have done a few rounds up the foot. My progress keeper is my Summer Sock Camp progress keeper from Crazy Sock Lady Designs, and I have it in my Summer Sock Camp project bag from Stolen Minutes on Etsy with my little Summer Sock Camp pin from Crazy Sock Lady Designs on Etsy. So I will finish knitting up the foot, mark for my afterthought heel, continue up the leg, and then probably do 2x2 rib for the cuff. This is a vanilla sock knit 2 at a time toe up in Desert Vista Dye Works Happy Girlfriend's Day. Next is a sock I haven't showed yet, but I have a little bit of progress. This is my Summer Rainbow Connection sock. This is the Rainbow Connection pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, and I'm using Desert Vista Dye Works Summer Rainbow sock set. She did sets of 2 50-gram half skeins for this pattern. And this is the summer version. If you've been watching for a little while, I did the winter socks and the spring socks. And here is the first of my summer socks. Here is the black that kind of serves as the background and these really bright colors in the self-striping skein. I'm about halfway down the leg. My progress keeper is from Bluebird Miniatures. It's a little rainbow cupcake. And I have it in my Knitting Chickens bag from Bags by Awesome Granny on Etsy with my Chicken and Waffles zipper pull from Simply Serving on Etsy. This is a really fun striping slip stitch pattern where you work these fun slip stitches across the front and you're striping the 2 colors together across the back. I did 16 rounds of 2x2 rib in the solid color for my cuff. And then I will do the heel flap and turn in this black color as well. In the pattern sheet gives you good instructions about how to manage your colors so that you never have to cut them. You can work with both all the way through the whole pattern. One more look at these beautiful bright colors. As you can see, I'm just getting started with the second pink stripe. These are definitely more neon-y rainbow colors in this colorway. Really having so much fun with this. This is the Rainbow Connection sock by Kay Litton, knit up in Desert Vista Dye Works Summer Rainbow Set. Next, I'd like to tell you about a little bit of an impulsive cast on, but one that I feel like is justifiable. I decided I needed to cast on a Halloween pair of socks because there's only a couple months until Halloween, and I want to definitely be sure and get a couple pairs ready before October so that I can actually wear them in October. So I decided to go ahead and cast on my first pair of fall Halloween socks. I have it in my Wizard of Oz bag from Fate's Thread. This is Knitted Wit Victory Sock. It's an 80-20 base and it's in the colorway Witch Please. It kind of has the candy corn colors in it. And I just got started with the cuff. I'm not quite through the cuff yet. I think I have about 8 more rounds down the cuff that I would like to do. I'm doing a 2x2 rib. I'm working these on my ChiaoGoo red lace 9-inch circulars. And this Halloween cookie progress keeper is from Sweet Cherry on Etsy. And I just thought this is going to look really fun. I think I'm just going to do a plain vanilla sock. So I'll do a few more rounds of ribbing and knit plain down the leg. I will probably either do a slip stitch heel flap and gusset or a fish lips kiss heel. I haven't quite decided what heel I want to do yet, but I'm having so much fun seeing how this is knitting up. And like I said, I want to give myself plenty of time to get a couple pair of socks done that I can wear in October for Halloween. This is the beginning of a vanilla sock on a 9-inch circular using Knitted Wit's Witch Please colorway. My last socks I have to tell you about today is my latest pair of sleeping socks. I decided to do something a little bit different this time, and I am working actually with a sport weight yarn. I have it in my pretty knit stitch bag from Mrs. Brown's Bags. This is Malabrigo Arroyo 100% superwash merino in the colorway Anniversario. And I am using a pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits called the Toe Up Socks using German short rows. It is a German short row toe and a German short row heel. I am using size 3 needles. These are my Knit Picks Radiant double pointed needles. And my little ladybug cupcake progress keeper is from Simply Serving on Etsy. So this is a size 3 needle with sport weight yarn, and I'm pretty happy with the gauge I am getting. I finished knitting up the foot and have completed the German short row heel. I've got about 5 rounds knit up the leg. I think I will probably do only about 20 more rounds up the leg before I finish up with the 2x2 rib for the cuff. Here's another look at the German short row toe. The toe is incredibly worked exactly the same way as the heel is. And if you purchase this pattern, there is an excellent tutorial on Stacy's Very Pink Knits website and YouTube channel. Here's another look at how beautifully this yarn is knitting up. I believe I got this yarn in Sebastopol, California when we were on a vacation out on the Sonoma County coast a couple years ago at a really fun yarn store called Yarnitudes. So because this is a thicker sock, I intend to use this as a sleeping sock, and I am excited to finish this first one up and cast on the second one very shortly. This is the Toe Up Socks using German short rows by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits, knit up in Malabrigo Arroyo in the colorway Anniversario. Next, I'd like to tell you about a cowl I have on the needles, and it has grown a lot since last time I showed this. This is the Patchwork Fade Cowl by Meredith Weed of A Lovely Blunder Knits. And I am using Trilogy Yarns Christmas in July Advent from this year. I'm about halfway through, so this is going to end up being a really long loop that I'll be able to put double around my neck. There are different stitches in each of these stripes. Some I am leaving stockinette. There's a little bit of a basket weave, a purl ridge, and then a seed stitch. And as you notice, these colors are fading beautifully. This Advent was dyed specifically for this pattern, and it is knitting up so nicely. She has you fade for a couple rounds between each color. Some are more subtle color changes and some are more dramatic. I cannot wait to see how the rest of the colors will look after I incorporate them. I am working on the 18th color, this really pretty green. So I have about 12 more. She incorporated 30 minis in this Advent, plus she included a full 100 gram skein, which was so nice of her. You started with a provisional cast on, and then I will end up seaming it all together with a Kitchener stitch. And like I say, it's going to end up being long enough that I'll be able to wear it double around my neck, which I'm really looking forward to. I don't have very many long, super thick, warm loops like that. Last time I was all the way down here at my Rainbow Cake Progress Keeper from Simply Serving. So I have added quite a bit of length to it since last time I podcasted, which was almost a month ago. I'm using size 4 16-inch ChiaoGoo red lace, and I have it in my super cute sloth bag from Quilt Knit Craft on Etsy with a donut sloth progress keeper as a zipper pull. That is from Simply Serving on Etsy. So I'm only doing about half of a color a day, and I have it planned out where I will be able to finish this by the end of August. This is the Patchwork Fade Cowl by Meredith Weed of A Lovely Blunder Knits, knit up in Trilogy Yarns 2021 Christmas in July Advent Minis. Last but not least, I would like to tell you about my shawl I have on the needles. This is the Monet Shawl by Melinda of Rye Flower Knits. I have worked these last few stripes since my Tarte Progress Keeper from Charms by Charlie. I'm still in the main section where I'm adding all these lovely stripes of lace and cable. Here's a closer look at it. Such a fun design. I am using the Hypnotic Yarn 2020 Advent Calendar, which this design was made for. It started off with kind of some ribbing at the end and then a different lace pattern. Now the main section are all these beautiful stripes with these gorgeous, vibrant tonal colors. I've done just the first row with my current color that I'm working with, this kind of corally red color. I am still enjoying this so much. And again, with this one, I've kind of planned it out where I will hopefully mostly finish. I'll certainly finish the main section by the end of this month, just so I can move on to some other fun projects. My needles are Addi Turbo Lace, and I have this in my Forest Creature project bag from Bags by Awesome Granny. It fits a nice big shawl very perfectly. It's been so enjoyable adding new stripes and seeing how all these colors play together. I really think this is such a fun knit, and it would honestly look so pretty with just a solid color too. I think this is such a nice cable and lacy design, but of course adding the pops of color makes it really fun too. This is the Monet Shawl by Melinda of Rye Flower Knits, knit up in Hypnotic Yarns 2020 Holiday Advent Calendar. Well, I think that is about all I have for you this episode. Thank you so much for watching and spending a little bit of time with me. Please don't forget to like this video and consider subscribing. That would mean so much to me. As always, I would love to hear your feedback about the podcast, or if you have any questions for me, I would love to hear those as well. You are more than welcome to leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. But until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.